It's Tuesday, August 13th. I'm Paul Joseph Watson. This is InfoWars Nightly News.
Tonight, a New Hampshire city wants to use a tank against libertarians. Then, Obama appoints a fox to investigate spying in the hen house. And will stolen Libyan missiles be used to shoot down aircraft? All that and more coming up on the InfoWars Nightly News.
Instantly assess these guys. These are probably ex-con, real criminals. I've got my 3 kids here. That gives me, just turbo dinosaur power.
Top story tonight, report. Michael Hastings was investigating CIA Director John Brennan. This is a report from Infowars.com. Journalist Michael Hastings was investigating CIA Director John Brennan before his untimely death in a suspicious car accident, it has been revealed, with the report set to be published posthumously by Rolling Stone magazine within the next 2 weeks. Now, as you may recall, InfoWars first reported from Hastings' close friend, Sergeant Joe Biggs, that the former Rolling Stone journalist was working on, quote, the biggest story yet about the CIA before his suspicious death. Now, according to San Diego 6's Kimberly Dvorak, the CIA acknowledged in an email to her that that was indeed the case, that Hastings was hot on the trail of John Brennan. And Dvorak claims that the magazine is set to publish this expose within the next 2 weeks. That's yet to be confirmed by the publication itself. I emailed them this morning, no response so far. But Brennan, of course, is Obama's former counterterrorism advisor who helped compile the drone program kill list and was labeled in a 2012 Stratfor email hacked by WikiLeaks as being, quote, behind the witch hunts of investigative journalists learning information from inside the Beltway sources. So he's being cited as the key point man in harassing journalists who have sensitive information that they're going to publish. Very interesting in terms of Michael Hastings. So the big question is, was Hastings about to reveal that Brennan had been tasked with targeting independent reporters who were in the business of releasing sensitive information? That will unravel over the course of the next 2 weeks. There's also new analysis in this article by Dvorak, which cites a professor who analyzed the final moments of Hastings before the crash, of course, the surveillance video, which we've seen before. He suggests that Hastings was traveling at only 35 miles per hour before the multiple explosions that appear to be in the video. And that would explain, of course, why there's so little damage to the tree. And it would appear to bolster claims that some kind of incendiary device could have been used to blow up the Mercedes if he was not speeding. The idea of it being a crash, being an accident, begins to pale even more, but we'll continue to keep track of it. Next up, this is out of Washington's blog. Obama appoints Fox to investigate spying in the hen house. That's right, Obama has hired James Clapper as head of a, quote, independent group of outside experts to investigate NSA spying. Of course, Clapper is the same guy who lied to Congress about spying, falsely claiming that the government wasn't spying on the American people. He subsequently had to apologize for Congress for that act of deception. So yet again, we see the administration purporting to offer accountability and oversight, yet appointing insiders who will guarantee damage control. Just as we saw with the 9/11 Commission report, this is not about getting to the truth of the matter and uncovering government malfeasance. It's about covering up the criminal behavior. Because Clapper, of course, is director of national intelligence. He's the spy master in chief, yet he's the, quote, independent figure to provide oversight of the NSA. Barack Obama is literally trolling America. It's like hiring Bernie Madoff to investigate financial fraud, or it's like hiring Charles Manson to track down a serial killer. James Clapper, who lied about NSA spying, is now the independent expert to investigate the NSA. Next story, we are Legion, anonymous presence in the US military. This is out of Liberty Blitzkrieg website. Are we going to see more leaks? Yes. A lot of anonymous members are mid to high rank NCOs. They are well respected, have connections and overly large security clearances. a lot of people who are part of the anonymous culture are just dying at this point for something to come across their table that isn't already out there. So despite the war on whistleblowers and the horrific treatment of Bradley Manning, according to this BuzzFeed interview with an active duty Army captain and a member of Anonymous, quote, more leaks are on the way. So now you actually have people who are deliberately joining the military to try and become the next Edward Snowden. So the attempt to keep a lid on all this stuff appears to be failing. Speaking of whistleblowers, Kurt Nimmo reports Benghazi whistleblower lawyer, stolen Libyan missiles will be used to shoot down aircraft. A former U.S. attorney, Joe DeGenova, who is representing a Benghazi whistleblower, told a Washington, D.C. radio station on Monday that 400 surface-to-air missiles were, quote, stolen in Libya and given to some very ugly people, a.k.a. Al-Qaeda. Now, of course, let's not get into the debate of whether they were stolen or not, because we know for a fact that the surface-to-air missiles were actually being handed to Al-Qaeda terrorists in Syria by the CIA as part of the now confirmed, CNN had to report it for everybody to believe it, we were talking about it months ago, the confirmed weapons smuggling operation that was being run out of Benghazi, with the CIA, of course, now engaged in desperate damage control, attempting to hide the details of that program by subjecting CIA agents in the region to monthly polygraph tests. So it's confirmed that the weapons are now going to the Al-Qaeda rebels in Syria, and that Benghazi was a key focal point for that operation before the assault on the consulate last year. So, you know, when US airliners are being shot down and that's being used to justify military intervention in yet another country, just remember who gave the terrorists those surface-to-air missiles in the first place. Moving on, New Hampshire City wants a tank to use against occupiers and libertarians. This is out of Mother Jones. While the US government, as we just reported, gives surface-to-air missiles to Al-Qaeda terrorists, the police chief in Concord, New Hampshire, is attempting to secure $250,000 from Homeland Security in order to buy a tank to target the real terrorists, occupiers and libertarians. And this is what the police chief, who was later forced to apologize when this went public, wrote in a filing to secure funding for this armored vehicle. Quote, the state of New Hampshire's experience with terrorism slants primarily towards the domestic type. The filing reads, we are fortunate that our state has not been victimized from a mass casualty event from an international terrorism strike. However, on the domestic front, the threat is real and here. Groups such as the Sovereign Citizens, Free Staters, and Occupy New Hampshire are active and present daily challenges. So there you have it. Once again, they're identifying peaceful political activists like libertarians and occupiers, Occupy Wall Street movement, as domestic terrorists and trying to buy tanks with DHS help to be used against those peaceful political groups. Once again, the real targets of the war on terror are domestic political activists.
Now you can watch the InfoWars Nightly News streaming live as it happens for free.
Check it out at Infowars.com/show.